Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something kind of unexpected, but man, is it powerful. We're going to look at exactly what it takes to win a Grand Slam in professional tennis, and then we're going to map that exact same psychology right onto closing a high-stakes sale. Because honestly, whether you're holding a racket or a massive revenue target, the underlying mechanics of ultimate success, they're shockingly similar.
But first, I've got to ask you, what do you think is the biggest barrier to peak performance? Take a second and really think about it. We usually assume the ultimate hurdle is that aggressive opponent standing across the net, or maybe that incredibly stubborn prospect sitting across the desk. But the truth? The biggest barrier isn't external at all. It's actually the internal narrative looping on repeat inside your own mind.
Okay, let's really dive into this. We call this the inner game. Basically, it's the synthesis of holistic subconscious conditioning and absolute self-belief. So what that actually means is you've got to completely overcome your own internal doubt long before you ever face any sort of external resistance. Today, we're going to combine the neuroscience of Dr. Joe Dispenza with the elite sports psychology of tennis legend Novak Djokovic, just to prove that winning, it starts way, way before the actual battle even begins.
To get us there, here's our quick roadmap. First, we'll cover mastering your inner game. Second, confronting external resistance. Third, tactical reframing strategies. And finally, building that continuous improvement mindset.
All right, let's jump straight into Section 1, Master Your Inner Game, programming the 95% of your mind.
So science tells us that an incredible 95% of our daily life is run entirely by our subconscious. It's basically on autopilot. To reprogram that, Dr. Joe Dispenza starts his seminars with a pretty shocking instruction. He literally tells his audience to turn to the person next to them, look them dead in the eye, and introduce themselves as a genius. I know, it feels super uncomfortable, right? But it's actually a direct physical command designed to completely shatter your own self-doubt.
Now think about Novak Djokovic. You don't become a 24-time Grand Slam champion by accident. Look at this foundation. Starting when he was just 10 years old, his early coach, who he called his tennis mother, instilled this deeply holistic practice. I mean, at 10 years old, he's listening to classical music while journaling. He's studying tapes of past greats. He'd spend time just closing his eyes, actively visualizing exactly how he wanted to play, and focusing on when he felt his absolute happiest. This just proves that peak performance isn't just about going out there and hitting a ball. It requires relentless, daily preparation of the mind.
Which brings us to Section 2, Confronting External Resistance. Stepping onto the battlefield.
So, once your inner game is totally locked in, that's when you step onto the battlefield. And think about it. The hostile, intense energy of a 15,000-person tennis crowd rooting against you, it is the exact same frequency as a tough prospect throwing hard objections at you across a boardroom table. So, how do we handle that incoming fire? Master sales trainer Eric Lofholm breaks it down perfectly with the rule of 3. You basically have 3 choices. Handle it before it comes up, handle it after it comes up, or just ignore it entirely.
Now, if you do decide to handle it after it comes up, you play what Lofholm calls the hot potato. I absolutely love this concept. Think of the negotiation as elegantly dancing with your prospect. You deliver your final close, you look at them and ask, "Are you ready to move forward today?" And then you literally just remain completely silent. By asking the question and shutting your mouth, you pass the hot potato, the conversational pressure, right back to the prospect. They now have to either say yes, say no, or give you their true underlying objection.
Let's get into Section 3, Tactical Reframing Strategies, turning objections into opportunities.
This is the part where we blend that deep spiritual mental resilience with some really hard-hitting practical frameworks. Treat this toolkit exactly like an elite athlete's strategic playbook. When a prospect throws an objection your way, you run an immediate play. You isolate the concern. You dig deeper with investigative selling. Or you just solve the literal problem. Like Lofholm actually once paid $5,000 to buy a recruit out of a lease just so that person could come work for him. Sometimes you just have to reduce the financial risk with flexible terms and get it done.
But hey, if you only remember one single tactic from this entire explainer, make it this question. Is that your only concern? When a prospect tells you the price is too high, or maybe they just need some time to think about it, you immediately pattern interrupt them by asking, "Is that your only concern?" It's brilliant. It instantly isolates their actual resistance and strips away all those fake, surface-level excuses. It's an absolutely crucial conversational tool, whether you're closing a deal or, honestly, just navigating everyday life.
Now, there's also a fascinating psychological way to just bypass that resistance entirely. Lofholm teaches that instead of arguing with an objection, which never works, you embed that exact objection inside a success story. So you say, let me share a quick story about a client who felt the exact same way. By turning their objection into a narrative about someone else who ultimately found success, you completely disarm their defenses. They don't even realize you're reframing the conversation. And what's wild is that this strategy of reframing, it isn't just a sales tactic. It's literally about creating your own reality. Just listen to how Novak Djokovic handles his hostile objections, which for him is thousands of fans screaming for him to lose. He says he intentionally convinces himself of an entirely different reality. He literally trains his mind to intercept that negative energy and use it as fuel. Okay, check this out. When Djokovic played Roger Federer in the Wimbledon finals, the entire crowd was chanting, "Roger, Roger." But Djokovic had trained his subconscious mind so intensely that he convinced himself he was actually hearing them chant, "Novak, Novak." Think about that. He completely reframed the hostility. An external objection, a tough client, a screaming crowd. At the end of the day, it's all just raw energy. And you have the absolute power to internally reframe it so it serves you instead of stops you.
All right, let's wrap this up with section 4, the continuous improvement mindset, playing the infinite game. Because winning one game or closing just one single sale, that's not the goal here. We are playing the infinite game. Look at Djokovic. He is 38 years old. In the tennis world, reaching your 30s used to mean counting the days until you retired, but he has this relentless, totally logic-defying drive to test his physical and mental limits way past the traditional retirement age. He is constantly updating his diet, his recovery tech, his mindset. He never, ever assumes he has arrived.
In the sales world, Eric Lofholm calls this continuous sales improvement, or CSI. Notice how the compounding effect works here. If you dedicate just 15 minutes a week, just 15 minutes, to practicing your objection scripts, like maybe speaking them into your phone and listening back, it compounds massively. Over a year, that's 13 solid hours of focused skill building. Over a decade, that's how elite professional status is achieved. Mastery is never an overnight event. It's the compounding effect of these tiny, relentless micro-habits.
At the absolute foundation of all of this, whether you are down match point on center court or staring at a lost sale in a quiet boardroom, is taking absolute accountability. Djokovic realized early on that blaming his coach, his physio, or the crowd, all it did was strip him of his power. His greatest source of power was the core realization that you are in control of your life. You have to take the means into your own hands.
So, I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. Think about the daily internal programming, the tactical plays, the relentless practice we just talked about. If you dedicated just 15 minutes a week to mastering your inner game and reframing your biggest external resistance, what reality could you create? Take that question with you today. Keep practicing, keep reframing, and I'll see you right back here in the next Explainer.